Hi and welcome. I'm Lisa. Thanks for joining me here on the Imagine Crafts YouTube channel. In this video, I'm heat embossing and doing a little ink blending today to create this fun take on a note card, pun intended. So I'm going to get started by sharing a few of the products I'm using and a reference guide before I jump into making this card. I'm using Memento ink in the colors Paris Dusk and Teal Zeal, VersaMark ink, and gold Emboss embossing powder. Now, real fast, I wanted to share this surface compatibility chart that's over on the Imagine Crafts website. I printed a copy to keep in the front of my ink swatch book, and I'm finding it to be a very helpful resource when I go to grab any of my Sikaneko and Imagine Craft inks. So it helps me to quickly reference if the inks I'm pulling are going to work with the materials I have in mind. So now I've linked it below for you so you can hop over there and print a copy for your ink swatch book, or you can just keep one nearby. So let's jump into this note card. I have my musical background stamp and tranquil teal cardstock already positioned in my stamp positioner. Now you can use any background stamp and cardstock you have available. Just make sure you have two inks, a shade or two darker, that match the cardstock. And I'm going to heat emboss my background using gold Emboss embossing powder, but first I need to lay down anti-static powder. Now, whenever I'm heat embossing, I always use anti-static powder. It helps eliminate stray specks of embossing powder, giving you a clean heat embossed image. Next, I want to stamp the image using my VersaMark ink, and I like to stamp the image several times just to make sure I have a solid stamped image. It's better to take the extra steps here rather than after adding the embossing powder. I've covered the image with the gold Emboss embossing powder, making sure I have the whole image covered. And then I'm going to give it a light tap to remove all the excess. And then I take the time to check the image for tiny specks, and I remove those. I like for my embossing to be as clean as I can possibly manage. I'm coming in with a preheated heat gun. Now I'm going to let this heat gun heat up 15 to 20 seconds before taking it to the paper. You're going to hear me say this a lot. You want the powder to start melting right away. The less time the heat is on the paper, the less warping you'll have, and the less chance you have of burning the powder and paper. So you just want to chase that melting powder with the heat gun, and you'll know when it's done because it becomes shiny and dimensional. So I went ahead and I ran this through my die cutting machine using a rectangle die, but you can use a paper trimmer and trim it down to 4 inches by 5¼ inches. So I'm using a blender brush to blend the Teal Zeal around the edge of the cardstock to darken it. Notice how I am starting on my Imagine Craft mat, working the ink onto the paper. I find I have a smoother blend and less streaking when I do it this way. So I'm working my way all the way around the cardstock, avoiding the center. As you move in toward the center, you want to use a light pressure to blend that ink out. And I'm going to follow that with the Paris Dusk to really darken up those edges. And I'm going to do one last blend with that Teal Zeal just to smooth everything out. So there's a quick look at our heat embossed and ink blended panel. I have a musical die that I use to die cut gold foil paper in several layers of white cardstock. So you can completely skip this musical die or use a different musical die if you have one. If you don't, just use a sentiment that reads like a little note to say. Anything note related will work for this card. So because the details are so fine on this, I decided to die cut several layers out of paper and then use my on point glue just to stack those all together. I'm going to go ahead and set that aside and let it dry. And I'm going to then place tear tape on vellum that I've cut to 4¼ by 5½ inches to cover the front of my white card base. See how I leave that teal cardstock panel under that vellum? That's just so I know exactly where I can place this tear tape so it can't be seen. I'm going to go ahead and remove the paper backing from the tape and adhere the vellum to the card base. So I cut a piece of gold glitter paper to 4 1/8 inch by 5 3/8 inch to use as a mat behind that teal panel. And I used mounting foam to adhere that teal panel to the glitter paper. So I want to make sure I have a good bond between the two, so I flip it over and I'm going to burnish it with my bone folder. I'm going to go in then and add tear tape around the edges of the back of the glitter paper and then center that over the vellum and press firmly. I'm going to go ahead and use my On Point glue to add that music note to the bottom right corner and stack blocks on it. Set it aside while I work on my sentiment. I'm using that same teal cardstock for my sentiment. I've laid down anti-static powder, then stamped the sentiment with my VersaMark ink, covered it with the gold embossing powder, and heat set it. I went ahead and I trimmed that sentiment with a paper trimmer. I also used a piece of scrap gold glitter paper behind that sentiment to help it pop off that card a little bit better. And I'm just using mounting foam to adhere the teal sentiment to the gold glitter paper. And then I'm going to add tear it tape to the glitter paper and adhere it to the card. So using my On Point glue, I'm going to finish this card off with gold sequins, and I do believe that brings us to the end of this video. So I hope you enjoyed joining me and that you were inspired enough to head into your crafty space and create something amazing today. I do hope you will hit that subscribe button and click the bell to be notified of new content to this channel. If you could hit the like button, that would be awesome. I want to encourage you to leave any comments or suggestions below. And as always, know we appreciate you taking the time to join us here on the Imagine Crafts YouTube channel. And until next time, keep crafting.